the bookshop, it's the bookshop, it's the bookshop of Beverly Farms.
Howdy, everybody. It is Sam Feifel, your host of John Updike's Ghost, your favorite little podcast about reading, writing, sunny days, all things awesome, springing, independent bookstore day, and other good stuff. I'm here, as always, with the co-owner of the bookshop at Beverly Farms, my sister, all-around awesome person, even if she doesn't like watching soccer games, Hannah Harlow. How are you doing today, Hannah?
I don't think it's true. I do love watching soccer games.
Actually, you do. You like soccer games. It's true.
Just the 7th grade B team soccer games are sometimes painful to watch because they lose by a lot.
Well, you cannot win them all.
You can't win them all.
Win them all. We are here today. No special guests, which is
just
exciting.
Us.
That has been forever since we just did our thing. No one really likes to talk about books. We like to talk about books. They're so boring in the way that they talk about books. Not true. It's just, it's much more fun when it's just the two of us. And I have 2 books on my agenda today.
I have 4 books, so I am housing you, but I did take that
you had a little vacation
off.
Yeah. This is a really nice pairing. It's a little early to talk about this book because it doesn't come out until June 24th, but it goes so well with my other book. So the first book is White Python World Tour by Travis Kennedy, which is a book about a fake band. And my other book is, the name of this band is R.E.M., which is about a real band that just happens to be very boring. But we will hear more about that when we talk about the books. What is on your agenda?
Okay, I feel like I have 4 wildly different books. They don't go together in any way that I can see at the moment. Maybe we'll get there.
Wow.
I've got Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green.
I do want to hear about this.
Yep. I have Raising Hare by Chloe Dalton.
Which kind of hair?
Hare.
Okay, I assume so.
Yeah. I have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett.
Ha.
And I have Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry.
Oh, a new Emily Henry.
New Emily Henry coming out.
When does that come
tomorrow.
Oh, it comes out tomorrow. Well, let's start with that. With that. Because I actually did not, I assumed that she had another book for the summer, but I've not really heard anything about it. Is it just run it back same as the last one, or is there a wrinkle in the Emily Henry formula?
Okay, so I didn't read the last one, which I believe was called Funny Story.
Right.
I've read 3 out of the whatever, or no, 4 out of the 6 that exist, or whatever.
There's not that many. Did she get started during the pandemic?
Yes, she got popular during COVID.
Right, but so did she had a book before it or not?
I believe I read a profile of her a little while ago, and I believe she had published some other books, kind of not super successfully. And then Beach Read came out in 2020 or something like that.
Beach Read was the big one.
Yeah, and people were so ready for feel good, rom-coms, and she just slid right in and
she delivered
that. Yeah, whatever. So Great Big Beautiful Life, I actually really liked it.
Is it a summer read, or is it a romance, or what?
It's a romance. I don't know. I guess it's a great summer read. It's set on an island in Georgia, the state of Georgia. So it's really hot all the time, but I'm sort of is Georgia just hot all the time?
Is it between Memorial Day and Labor Day?
I don't remember. I'm going to say
Is there a yacht club?
There's no yacht club. Let me tell you the premise. So our main character is named Alice, and she is a journalist. And she is obsessed with this woman named Margaret Ives, who was this celebrity figure in the 60s or whatever, 50s, 60s. And maybe even a little bit beyond that. But eventually just disappeared from the public eye, and no one's been able to really find. No one knows where she went. She managed to just disappear. But our main character has tracked her down to this island in Georgia and is like, trying to get Margaret, to let Alice write a biography of her. So Margaret calls her in for like an interview. And then it turns out there's another guy, a Pulitzer Prize winning biographer.
Oh, no.
Named Hayden, who's also on the island, to meet with Margaret.
Aha.
And so Alice is like, oh no, I'm never gonna get the job now, whatever. Like, that book was so good that Hayden wrote. And then Margaret, she of course charms Margaret.
Right.
So Margaret is like, you know what? I can't decide. I
Contest.
wanted a 1-month trial to get to know both of you. I'm going to start telling you my stories, and then you can you're each going to pitch me on like what, your approach.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
That is absurd, but
totally absurd. But of course, during the course of the month, Alice and Hayden hang out a bunch and get closer. There's a lot of sexual tension. But they're like, we can't get together because until we know who gets the job, like if I get it or whoever gets it, like the other person's going to be resentful. We don't know what it'll do to our relationship. So we can't be together right now.
Wow. We
have to find out what's going to happen.
That is something. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's just like you go along with it, whatever.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I think I was listening to you and Sindel talk about your Pickleballers rom-com.
Yeah.
And you were saying that the main character is like, she can never talk around the guy. And she's just this like kind of bumbling idiot.
I hate that. That's insane.
Right. So I had just listened to you guys talk about that when I started reading this book. And I was like, this is great because it's the opposite. Like the main character is like, just super confident and funny and charming and like bubbly and like wears bright clothing and just kind of doesn't give a shit what people think of her.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. I just really liked her. And then Hayden, like, initially is this like brooding, like, scary guy, big scary guy. And then he turns out to be like just super nice, and like, I don't know. I just really liked the characters. The setup, of course, was ridiculous, but there's a mystery to like why Margaret is doing this. Like she kind of keeps doing some strange things and they're like, why would she do that? And I just really liked how it all came together. Like you discover kind of, there's a big twist at the end that felt, I don't know, good.
Great. All right. Yeah.
So I think it's one of her better ones. It
doesn't sound like a summer read.
It's not like it's summer. We're on the beach, but they are on an island and it's hot.
Take some of that. Okay, let's go from fake biographers to real biographer.
There we go.
So this is the name of the band is R.E.M. Everybody knows that I really like musician biographies. Peter Ames Carlin is the author. He wrote a biography of Bruce Springsteen called Bruce, which I have not read. There's lots of great rhythms on the back. He's got Thurston Moore from Sonic Youth. He's got David Lowery from Cracker. He's got Bill Janovitz from all great stuff. Even Michael Chabon blur. I like it. I was
also a lot of it's set in Georgia.
A lot of it is set in Georgia. Actually, that is much better. Much better, I think. A ton of it is set in Georgia. Almost all of it. So then there's the stuff that I think is Peter Ames Carlin's fault, which is it reads like a book report where he didn't actually talk to anybody.
Oh.
And I think he did talk to people. Like there's a lot of notes and definitely some people that he interviewed, but like I don't think I learned anything about the band R.E.M. Like, I think if you are an R.E.M. fan, you know all this stuff. It's like, and then they released the album, and here are the songs that were on that album. And then, their IRS Records deal was up, and they moved to Warner Brothers. And then Warner Brothers 5 records, and the last record didn't do that great. And they were just like, you know what, we're done. And that was the end of R.E.M.
Yeah, no, that sounds really boring. I did listen to the beginning of that book.
Yeah.
And I felt like he spent a long time on like the early lives of these guys, which I didn't know about. And then, he talks about Athens and, the bands that were kind of getting big before them or whatever.
Yeah, B-52s,
B-52s, yeah. Some of that was interesting, but you were right. It was not enough for me to keep listening. Like, I gave up on it.
Well, I mean, there are some parts that are cool about it. Like if you were an R.E.M. fan, there's lots of nostalgia. I did go back and start listening again to R.E.M. and like, oh yeah, Green on tape. Remember when we bought that and it was super cool? And oh, Orange Crush and Shiny Happy People and wow, Stand really is a dull song that goes on forever. I can't believe that was a big hit, but I don't know. It just like compared to like the Led Zeppelin book or whatever, it really didn't hold up. But then Led Zeppelin did like all kinds of crazy stuff and had sex with 12-year-olds. If you're an
Yeah,
REM fan,
whatever.
I guess I recommend it, I guess. I don't know. Also, I
Sure.
think it's different to like, I remember watching the things that he's talking about on MTV, and I think I'm just now old enough that like I lived through all of that. So do I really, of course I know it all. I was a fan,
Right. That's true.
But I think like, the best biographies, even fans learn something. Like Nirvana's biography, I learned a ton about. I think, that, and that's like, there was like this, Michael Stipe was like friends with Kurt Cobain. Like I actually did not know that. But like we explored that for like half a page, and then I was like, oh, and Kurt Cobain killing himself really bummed Michael out. Anyway, moving on.
Okay.
I don't know. And there's also really long descriptions. I felt like he didn't have enough material. So there's like really long descriptions of the songs, but this guy's clearly not a musician. So he just sort of like talks about the music for like a long time. And I found myself just like skipping. So,
Right. Well, it's funny because I actually think it could have been shorter and that would have been fine.
yeah, it didn't need to be this long.
No.
I don't know. And the pictures section was kind of lame. Like I always liked the picture section in the middle. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Oh, bummer.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
going to give it a meh.
meh. Let's stick with nonfiction, and I'll talk about Raising Hare by Chloe Dalton.
Oh.
Or you want me to do everything that's
I thought you were going to
tuberculosis?
talk about John Green.
Okay, fine. Let's do
No,
John
talk
Green.
about Raising Hare. I
Okay.
want to hear about it.
Okay, so
You just
Raising
fooled me.
Hare is a
Is it really about
memoir.
raising a bunny?
That is so this woman, Chloe Dalton, it is COVID time and she is like a political advisor or something in London, but during lockdown she goes out to her country home that she's bought but really needs some fixing up. So she's like, I guess I'm going to fix up the country house
In the UK.
in the UK.
Yeah.
And she goes for a walk one day, and on like the country lane, there's this hare, and she walks by it. She's like, I know I'm not supposed to touch a hare, and a hare is different from a rabbit.
Right. Yes.
But she comes back hours later, and it's still there. So she's like, it must be injured. There must be something wrong with it. And against my better judgment, I'm going to pick it up and bring it inside and see if I can nurse it back to health.
Right.
And so when she starts calling people, everyone's like, oh, why did you do that? You dummy. You shouldn't have picked it up. You ruined everything.
Oh, no.
Now it's going to die. Like, all hares die. Like, nobody can nurse them back to health. Like, nobody knows anything about hares. They're just wild creatures, and you should have left it alone.
Really? I did not know that about hares. Hares are undomesticatable?
Yeah. And so she's like, oh, shit. What? Like, I feel terrible. I'm going to kill this thing. But she's determined not to. Mm-hmm. And she just kind of goes by instinct, and the hare lives. And
the book would probably not have come into existence if it didn't.
Right. So she starts like reading everything she can about hares, which is mostly like, I don't know, something from like the 17th century.
Right.
And but she also observes the hare in like minute detail, and it is crushingly adorable.
Really?
And like sweet. Yes, you just like fall in love with this hare.
Okay.
And yeah. And so then, it goes on for like 2 years. And eventually she kind of re-enters the world, but like can't go back to London. She's like, I can't leave the hare behind. The hare basically like makes a home in her house, and she leaves the door open. She creates this like hare special door, like for the winter or whatever, so the hare can come and go. And like it sleeps inside with her every night, and it'll go out during the day. And then it has babies, and then it gives birth like in her house.
Oh my God.
Anyway, it's just a lovely read. Like you just feel nice reading it. And then by the end, she also works in this message of just kind of embracing the wild. Like she starts rewilding her property, you know, because agriculture has kind of been encroaching on her land. And
Yeah, sure.
she's trying to, you know, better the habitats for a lot of the, you know, local animals, flora and fauna. And it just was nice. Like I really liked
It
it.
reminds me of Cy Montgomery's Chicken Book there a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It is. It's just like a real appreciation for this species that you don't really, turns out, know anything about.
Yeah, I don't know anything about hares.
It turns out, like, people, nobody does. So weird.
They're like the werewolves of the rabbit. I mean, if you read Watership Down, you know the difference between hares and rabbits. But
Right. Which, you know what? I never did.
what?
I
You
think
never
I
read
know.
Watership Down? Oh,
I
wow.
know, I'm a terrible person. But
Wow.
maybe now I should go read it.
Now you should go read it. Yeah, I think you'll like it. Why don't you go to your other nonfiction book too?
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. So
because
everything is tuberculosis.
Yes. I don't understand this book. I like John
Yeah.
Green. I get like he's got this whole like YouTube channel where he explains shit, right?
Yeah.
But I don't understand why this book is so popular. Like it's like the second most bought book in America right now.
Yeah. This book was coming out and, you know, the title is Everything is Tuberculosis. And
does not seem attractive.
No, and I'm talking to my sales rep and she's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's called that. We don't, no one knows really what this is about yet. Like, but it is coming on sale and it's John Green. It's going to be great. And I was like, okay, I'll take a few copies.
Yeah.
I ended up listening to it and it's narrated by like, you know, the Sheldon actor or whatever, that guy from The Big Bang. I think that's who narrated it. It sounded like him anyway.
What, the kid?
No, the adult.
Oh, okay.
Whatever. Yeah. I never watched that show.
I don't either. I have no idea.
So John Green became obsessed with tuberculosis. He took a trip to Sierra Leone and met a guy named Henry. So this guy, Henry's story kind of is the through line for the book.
Yeah.
And when he meets Henry, he thinks Henry is like a young boy. It turns out Henry's like 17, but just like has been sick his whole life and is malnourished, but he got tuberculosis as a kid and got like drug resistant tuberculosis. So none of the medications were working. It's just been on and off for years and years and years. And now basically like lives in this hospital. And so John Green kind of tells his story while also telling the story of like the history of tuberculosis.
Right.
And just how, and sort of how tuberculosis has like been a part of human history for like ever and has played all these different roles and like different events. Like he just tells these random stories about like, you know, the guy who invented the Stetson, like somehow that came about because he had tuberculosis or whatever. Like I can't even remember all the stories.
The Stetson hat?
Yes. Yeah, it's just like this kind of happened because of tuberculosis. Like he goes on all these tangents that are like super interesting.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, he makes lots of stuff super interesting. That's what he does.
He's a really good writer.
Yeah, no, he's a great writer, obviously.
I mean, he's also talking a lot.
He has like this like a really infectious like curiosity. That's why his stuff works. You know, he's like, why is this? I don't know. It's cool.
Totally. And like he just goes down these paths that you're like, yeah, that is really interesting. I mean, he's talking about like, you know, epidemiology, and a lot of the things he's talking about are things I've been hearing from my husband for, you know, the past 20 years that I've known him. But I do think, you know, not everybody's married to somebody who studied epidemiology.
Right, so, clearly.
I think it's probably news to a lot of people. And I think the way he talks about it is really engaging and, you know, makes you care. Yeah,
well, I mean, it's well timed. I have these, you know, unfortunate periods where I get addicted to the internet and I go down like these crazy rabbit holes.
Yeah.
You find these corners of the internet that are just insane. And I have lately found the Reddit that is called Stuff They Post on Moms Forums. And it's all like the crazy ass shit that like woo-woo moms post in their like mom forums.
Must be amazing. Yeah.
it's like it's horrifying, but also like I can't stop reading it sometimes. Like I read it for like an hour this morning and it made me feel bad about myself. But like I just couldn't stop because they're insane, right? They're like, all the anti-vax stuff, but like, it's become all anti-Western medicine. Like doctors are lying to you. Everything that a doctor says is wrong. My doctor says they need these antibiotics. Can somebody recommend, a natural thing or whatever? And, all the people posting there are like sane people who have come across this shit,
Right.
and so it's just like, there's always like this like long commentary, like this person might be the dumbest person alive, but you see them like build on each other. Like sometimes there'll be like 10 people chiming in like, you go girl, don't let that doctor tell you that your mom instincts are wrong, all kinds of like people who sleep with their infants in their beds at like 3 weeks, and like the craziest stuff alive. And like I think John Green is one of the few people who actually sort of successfully fights some of that stuff because he is so like charming and accessible. I do think like he's bringing, he's fighting against this tide of like just craziness.
He kind of shows you like how racism has played into this, right? Like,
oh yeah,
we have the ability to eradicate tuberculosis, right? But we haven't because of income inequality, because we don't really care about helping like a poor Black country when we have the resources and we have the knowledge and we have everything you need. But why would we do that?
Yeah, no, I mean it's just like, we just cut off the HIV drugs to like all
I
of
know.
the third
God,
world.
it's so bad.
Like,
it's so heartbreaking.
Evil stuff,
Yeah, we are.
You
really
have to laugh
right
about it because it's so bad. But I mean, I guess it's encouraging. Like, I mean, I assume that some of the people, Fault in Our Stars is like 20 years old now, something like that, maybe.
Yeah, like at least, right?
Right, like a while, and I think like he has this like multi-tiered fan base because like he's got all these kids on YouTube that watch like Gus, or whatever, like high school kids. But then at this point, like he must have like 35 and 40-year-old fans who've been reading him for a long time.
The people who read The Fault in Our Stars are now full-fledged adults.
They're all 30, 40 years old. Yeah. So like, I think they are like the sort of people that are buying this, and then maybe it has a positive effect. I don't know. We need to get, what the meritocracy definitely was not the right angle, but we need to get back to some appreciation of, curiosity and knowledge and learning and trusting of, sources. And maybe
I absolutely got roasted. I believe I was telling my kids about this book, and I was like, yeah, like John, they were like John Green. And I was like, yeah, like John Green, like the vlogger. And they were like, the vlogger?
It does a vlog.
I was like, okay, maybe maybe that term's outdated. And they were just, oh man, making fun of me so badly.
I once won a business to business award for best vlog, actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I have a Neil medal upstairs for the best business to business vlog.
Wow.
Yeah. Big time. In my laser scanning days. But that was 2010, so like 15 years, maybe society.
Okay, that's not what we call it anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so. All right, let's move on to a lighter topic because I have a book about a fake band.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I sent this to you. So I started the first couple pages of this, and then I thought, you know what? I'm going to send this to Sam because he's either going to love it or he's going to hate it.
I actually don't know if I love it or hate it. So it's by a Mainer, actually. This guy, Travis Kennedy. He lives in Scarborough. I think this is his first book.
I think so,
too.
Got
some short stories. He was like a mystery writer, I guess. Grand prize winner of Screencraft's 2021 cinematic book contest for Sharks in the Valley. I don't know what that is, but I think it's a story. But anyway, so it's called White Python World Tour. And it it basically, I don't think I'm giving it away because it comes in pretty quick, but it makes the beginning maybe a little bit less fun. But the central premise is that the CIA uses a hair metal band along the lines of like Striker or whatever, Striper or, Poison or whatever, to bring down the wall and, make these Eastern European countries in the Soviet bloc unstable by like making their lyrics to make them like revolutionary anthems and basically sales of the band, and then it concludes with this like the world tour is just going to all these like Budapest and Bucharest and like all these places for like everybody in the band is like, why are we playing these places and like, oh, because it's cool, and so you follow the band as this like CIA operative who is the drummer's girlfriend, like kind of secretly tweaks the band, and then she finally brings the drummer into it, and then there's like some like James Bond shit, and so like it is so absurd, like everything about it is absurd,
including the narrator, like the voice, right?
The voice is so completely inconsistent. Like you're constantly. It takes a little while to figure out whose perspective it is from. Like the drummer starts off narrating it, but then there's like all these times where like, cause like a lot of it's the drummer.
I thought that was who narrated it. There are other people who come in.
Well, so there's all these like found documents too, right? Where like, like we get a CIA report or we get whatever, but then we just, the perspective just shifts and we just start talking about the girlfriend, and we're in a scene where the drummer is not there. And how does the drummer know that this is going on? I don't know, right. Like it's just a different part of narration. And then it comes back to like, I did this awesome thing. And you're like, oh, I guess we're back with the drummer. So like, I don't even know how like he conceived it. Like maybe he's doing that on purpose because he's just like, whatever, nothing matters in this book. But like, it is genuinely funny because it like really sends up the like whole experience of being in a hair metal band in the 80s, like all the drugs and groupies and all that sort of stuff. And when it is in the best form of the drummer's voice, it's hilarious because he's like, and then I got to go and do this awesome thing. And it was awesome. I drank all these beers and I slammed on my head. It was awesome, and like, it's like the most meathead metal drummer of all time. Like it's so entertaining. Like
you just can't. It's not consistent enough to like.
No, it's not consistent.
Be great. Yeah.
No, like, and I guess you couldn't pull it off. I don't know. Like, it should have like shifted perspectives, like Game of Thrones or something, if you wanted to do this. I don't know. Yeah. So it doesn't really hold together in that way. But I think like if you're a music fan, there's lots of like funny, metal band tropes that like he's playing on. It's kind of funny. And there is like some funny stuff, like the way that the CIA is lampooned, like everybody's working on this project. They are all actually being punished by working on it, but they don't realize it until the end. They're like, hey, wait, like, is this not a real thing? And they're like, no, it's not a real thing. It's very funny. There's lots of times very funny. So if you think of it like, I think of it like Monty Python or whatever, like, and it's just complete farce. I think it's really funny and it's okay, but there's times where it's just like it's trying to be a real thing, like.
I know. I think you should just think of it that way. Of like,
I think if you just think of it as a silly comedy, it's pretty funny. If you think of it as like, oh, this is like a James Bond, CIA intrigue, it doesn't really hold together. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Sometimes I don't think it knows what it wants to be, but it's genuinely funny. I'm glad this dude from Maine got published. Silly. It's good to have silly books. I read the whole thing. I didn't think I was gonna I was like a third of the way through. I was like, I don't know if I could finish this, but then I was like, oh, I enjoyed it. It was funny.
When this was a book, I think you were like, why did you order so many copies of this book?
Yeah, I think you got a 6-pack of them.
I did. Again, my sales rep was pushing it really hard. She's like, this is just going to be so fun. It's so funny. It's going to be such a great summer read. Like I kind of
would be a hilarious
into it.
Yeah. It would be like a really funny like
that
comedy.
Does sound like a good movie.
There'd be like all kinds of funny costumes and all the big hair and stuff.
Anyway, that's why I had you read it. Because I was like, well, we got 6 copies to sell. So
I can talk if you're looking for like something that's ridiculous, like it's funny,
Yeah.
you know.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't have a great segue.
Well, you have one piece of fiction left, I think,
I
right?
do. It's called Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. And this came out a couple of years ago. There are now 3 books in the series. The 3rd book just came out not too long ago.
Who's the author again?
Heather Fawcett.
Hmm.
And this was a book I kept seeing. Like, it actually sells pretty well when the new book comes out. Like, that book sells really well right when it comes out, and then it dies down. And I just kept thinking, I think I'd really like these books. So I got my hands on a copy of the first one, and it is quite charming. And I think it is in this kind of cozy fantasy genre, because it is, there's a couple kind of disgusting parts, but for the most part, it's just like, this woman, Emily Wilde,
low stakes.
She's PhD. It's like 1909 or something like that. It's early 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like a Oxford professor of fairies, right? Like, this is a discipline, and
is it like fairy, like Faerie?
Correct.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Good. I like any of the fairy stuff.
Yeah. So she is putting together this encyclopedia, which is going to be the first of its kind that kind of catalogs each
like
type
John
of
Us
fairy.
Glass and all that kind of stuff. Like,
I don't know what that is.
he's like one of the main fairy guys.
No. No, just all the fairy types. Like
right. Well, so but there's like a whole like fairy
whatever.
history in the UK. It's all that Jonathan Strange stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So she's putting together the first encyclopedia.
Yes.
And she kind of has like one last fairy to catalog, and it's in the Nordic countries or whatever. So she's on this remote island right before winter is coming on. And she's rented this cottage, and Emily is this kind of irascible character, like, just not really a people person. She's just really all about her studies.
Right.
And so she's not making a great first impression on the townspeople. She's like, I'm just here to study the fair. Like, it doesn't matter, But her colleague unexpectedly joins her. This guy, his name is Brambleby. And he is quite charming. So he comes in, he's like...
Charms the locals.
He's like... This is what makes me think it's like cozy fantasy, because he like does up the cottage, and they're always drinking tea and eating snacks, and like, it's just like this cozy little whatever.
Right.
And they have like a budding love story kind of happening, where he's kind of seeing through her,
right.
Whatever.
Rough exterior.
Exactly. So they make a good pair, and then so there's like, she's studying the fairies, and they have this relationship, but the through line is like, they start to realize that the fairies are kidnapping the townspeople at like a much greater rate than is normal, right? Like, you can kind of expect the fairies to like do a baby swap, or take a person like once a year or whatever, maybe once every few years. Time.
Yes.
But like, this is happening like every few months, and they're like, they're like losing lots of people that they love. And Emily thinks they can help. And obviously, they do. So
I like it in general.
It's good. It was it was very charming. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I like anything set in the like legit UK fairy realm. Yeah. So,
I think you'd like it.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's like the Prince of Thorns and all that kind of stuff. Any of that?
I guess you've read a lot more of it than I have.
No, because it's like a whole like. I think there are people who legitimately study like fairy lore in the UK, because it's like so pervasive. Yeah, good. I like it.
We got a busy couple weeks.
We do have a busy couple weeks. We're gonna get this out before Independent Bookstore Day. I promise.
Which is Saturday, April 26th.
Which is just 5 days from when now we are talking. So I'm going to have to bug Chris, make sure that, I let him know there is some urgency. Because our loyal podcast listeners will realize that my finger has not exactly been on the pulse the last couple of weeks. Maybe it's come out on like Sunday instead of Thursday. I will rectify that this week. Independent Bookstore Day. Are there any cool releases that we should tell people about? Special books?
There's
Or is it all socks and bags and stuff again?
It's not all socks and bags. There are some tote bags. For
Really?
sure.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. There's the new Blackwing pencil for Indie Bookstore Day, which they do every year now.
Okay, yeah.
There's a special edition of a Paul Tremblay book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that is it's horror movie. I always get the wrong horror second word. Horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, his mom lives in Beverly.
Right.
And he used to live in Beverly, I believe, but he doesn't live in Beverly anymore.
And he got a special Independent Bookstore Day release.
Yeah. So horror movie has cool green sprayed edges. And yeah, whatever. I mean, listen, our horror section doesn't do particularly great, but you should come we have a few copies, so you should come get this on Indie Bookstore Day.
Yeah.
So that weekend is also the North of Boston Book Trail happens over Indie Bookstore Day weekend. So we are actually going to be open on Sunday from 11 to 4. So the book trail people can come get their stamps and potentially win prizes.
Fantastic.
Filling their passports with, I believe there are 19 stores on the trail this year. So that's a lot of stores to hit in one weekend.
And at the same time, I will be in Massachusetts, which I try to avoid doing, to help out with selling books at the Newburyport Literary Festival, which happens on the very same weekend.
Every year. It's tough. It's tough to squeeze it all in.
Well, we can't miss out on selling those poetry books. We know that those are going to go like hotcakes.
I think they do pretty well for themselves. And
I'm sure
they sell the books themselves, so you don't actually have to staff that venue. So we actually should be grateful to them because we don't necessarily.
I thought you said I had to staff that venue.
No, you're staffing the Unitarian Universal Church.
Oh,
the UU. You will be selling books at events such as Allison Esbach and Courtney Sullivan will be doing an event together. Their new books are The Wedding People and The Cliffs.
Yeah, I was about to say, I've heard of both of those people. What is going on?
I
got the big time.
You've got a good venue.
Wow. Okay.
I think that's the most high profile event.
Those are huge.
Those are big.
Yeah.
The Wedding People has been on the bestseller list for months. Both of those books got celebrity book club picks.
So The Cliffs was Kristen's book club pick last month.
Yeah. So that one should be pretty good. And
that'll be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be slinging books like crazy. I got to remember how to use the old square.
Yeah. Marjan Kamali is another author you have. Her new book is called The Lion Women of Tehran, which has been pretty popular.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And she wrote a book before that called The Stationery Shop, which was quite popular. So that should be a good event. Yeah, nice. You're going to have a good day.
It's good. I mean, my panel last year was apparently so bad they did not invite me back to do another panel.
Well, I think I offered you up. I mean, that was my fault, but it just, I don't know. It didn't come together. I'm so sorry. We'll put a panel together for you next year. I have a panel which
I'm not really upset about it.
We pimped last time, but
that's right. Independent publishers. But that's online. Anybody can see that.
Anybody can go. It's on Zoom. It's on Sunday at 4:15 Eastern time. And it's called, Intro to Indie Publishing, which I now realize people call self-publishing indie publishing. So it's not about self-publishing. It's about small presses and independent presses.
Yeah. Now, if it's like a company at all, it counts as non-indie. Indie is only for doing it yourself.
Indie is only self-publishing now?
That's how people think of it.
Okay, well, it's not self-publishing. That's not what we're talking about. I think I tried to call it something with small presses, but I don't know. Somebody else wrote the copy because I was busy and we're just going with it. It's going to be great.
It'll be fine. You'll just have a lot of people. How do I work the algorithm to make sure that my book shows up as number one on the charts?
You know what? I want to talk about for just 5 seconds, which is like just going back to Indie Bookstore Day. I mean, it's not surprising in any way, I guess, but Amazon has scheduled their big book sale for Indie Bookstore weekend. Like, they're just the evilest of evil.
They are. They are as evil as it comes. Yes. And it's amazing to me because there's like, after the election, there are all these people like, oh, we're going to boycott Amazon about 1 day of no sales on Amazon. And I was like, oh, one whole day of avoiding Amazon. Wow. I've never bought anything off Amazon. I don't even know. I don't even know why you have. Like, why would you buy anything off Amazon? Like,
I haven't in years, but I mean, I used to.
Kristen is an Amazon shopper, but
like, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to shame anyone listening, but I see like people in the neighborhood who get like daily deliveries.
Yeah, I'm shaming you. There's it is really bad for the environment, for the economy, for like our existence to shop on Amazon. There is nothing that you need to get on Amazon that you couldn't just get somewhere in your community.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
It is.
I don't even know why people, I mean, we sell books online, but like, I don't even know why people buy things online. I don't understand it.
Well, it's the price. It's, I had someone in yesterday who was buying something and I was like, that's $25. And it wasn't yesterday because yesterday was Sunday, but I was like, it's $25. And she's like, what? And I was like, oh shit. Like I got, I was like checking the price, double checking the prices. And I was like, no, it's $25. Yeah. She was like, it's $12 on Amazon. And I was like, no, but the book is $25.
That means they're selling it at the same cost they got it from the publisher for.
Yeah.
They're not making any money.
And that hasn't happened in a while. Like, it just really threw me. But that's why, right? You can
get cheap things
at a cost that no one else, then actually they can't sustain, except that they have the cloud services and all that other shit.
Yeah. Well, it's terrible. If you shop at Amazon, you shouldn't. But yeah, the fact that they like can't even let us have our little independent bookstore.
I know. I mean, I guess it makes me feel good. Like, wow, you actually feel that threatened by us?
Yeah,
okay, sure.
Yeah. I feel like it's just a flex. Like there's somebody in their marketing department who's like, you know what? They think they can do this independent bookstore day. We'll just crush
That's because they're bitter because their storefronts were a total disaster.
Total fails. I know. They're actually those Amazon bookstores are in that bookstore biography or whatever that I read.
Oh, they are? Right.
Yeah.
I didn't read that.
And they talk about them a little bit. He talks about them like as though they're real things. And I'm like, we could have just left this out.
Yeah.
Like
this
there
doesn't
aren't
need to be part of the history.
Amazon bookstores,
Yeah. No.
With like the stupid reviews underneath them from the website.
So bad.
5 stars, the best.
Right. Okay. Anyway, we've gone on long enough.
We have gone on long enough. Hopefully we'll see you in the store and you'll forget all about us shaming you for your Amazon purchases. And we'll all just have a great time talking about literature at the Literary Festival, which I am coming to Saturday, driving. It's going to be very exciting.
See you there.
Great state of Massachusetts. My favorite place.
Not a bad place to be these days.
I know. You like it. That's all right. All right, everybody. We will see you next time on John Updike's Ghost.